But first, let me show you this recipe. It is arguably one of the tastiest things that I've ever made, and it is so simple. Yo everyone, what is going on? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. And today I'm going to be talking about 3 really important things I do on a daily basis when I'm cutting down and my goal is to lose fat. Because as a lot of you probably know, losing fat and just being consistent with a calorie deficit in general is far from the easiest thing to do in the world. But these 3 things, they work absolute wonders for me and my clients as well. And on top of that, I've got 2 unbelievably tasty low calorie high protein recipes coming your way. These are top tier, so sit back, relax, enjoy the video, and let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I want to talk about is how I track my calories. And oftentimes people just completely wing this throughout the day. They don't open up their MyFitnessPal app or their tracking app at all, and eventually when they do open it up that night and log everything that they've eaten that day, they just hope that they are on track with their calories, that they are on track with their protein, etc, etc. But there are 3 main problems with this, and problem number 1 is that you simply just might not be on track. So for example, you could add everything up, you might have 100 calories left over, but you also might be 30 grams short of your protein. And even if you use those 100 calories to eat something super high in protein, like 100 calories worth of chicken breast, you are still not going to hit your protein goal for the day. Problem number 2 is that if you are logging everything at once at the end of the day, it's really easy to forget a couple of things. So for example, it's quite easy to forget a biscuit that you had with your cup of tea in the morning that you wouldn't usually have. Or it's quite easy to forget a few jellies that you had after lunch. Or it might be the specific portion of something that you had, whether it was the milk in your cereal, or the amount of pasta that you had, or the amount of sauce that you had with your rice dish. Problem number 3 is if you have a particularly stressful day, which can happen, logging all of your foods come the end of the day is a very, very unappealing task, and as a result, it's quite easy to not do it. So to avoid all of this, what I recommend is not logging your calories that night, and instead log your calories the night before for the following day. That way when you wake up, you are crystal clear on what you are having. You are not forgetting foods come the end of the day. You are not getting to each meal feeling tired and hungry and just grabbing whatever is in the fridge and just hoping for the best. And the great thing about this is that you don't have to log every last calorie the night before. Instead, you could log your main meals. So your breakfast, your lunch, and your dinner, and then with whatever calories you have remaining, just dedicate those to snacks and have whatever you want. But before I go to my next tip, which is one I think absolutely everybody watching this video will need to some extent anyway, comment below and let me know if you have any tips that are absolute game changers when it comes to remaining on track with your fat loss goal. So for example, it could be logging your calories in advance. That could be something that you already do. It could be doing something different on the weekend. It could be meal prep. It could be intermittent fasting. It could be something to do with your shopping. Comment below and let me know. And now it is time to put a very cool spin on a very popular breakfast, so let's do it. Okay, so I'm gonna start by adding 130 ml of egg whites from bulk to a bowl. That is gonna be followed by 35 ml of skimmed milk. I'm gonna add in 30 ml of 0 calorie maple syrup from bulk, 35 grams of natural fat-free yogurt, 10 ml of vanilla extract, a little dash of cinnamon. Now let's mix everything together. Then I'm gonna get 4 slices of low calorie bread, fully saturate them in the mix. I'm gonna add them to a pan, and as you can see, I am just doing 2 slices at a time, but if you have a bigger pan or if you want to use 2 pans, go ahead. Onto the second 2 slices now. As you can see, these are a nice golden brown color, nice and dense as well, and I've used up all of the egg white mix, so the measurements are done to perfection. Okay, so we have a nice thick stack here, and I'm gonna add 100 grams of strawberries. Such a good way to bulk up any meal for very few calories. Then I'm gonna get a tub of this chocolate fat-free yogurt, and if you cannot get your hands on chocolate fat-free yogurt, you could just get some natural fat-free yogurt and add in a little bit of chocolate whey protein. And I'm going to drizzle it over the top. And for the final touch, sprinkle a teaspoon of low-calorie sweetener on top. And it goes without saying, but if you have any spare fat-free yogurt left over, you can just use it as you go. Okay, so quick one before we crack on with the video, everyone. And as of right now, you can sign up to the J. Clark Fitness Nutrition Hub for 5 days, a 5-day trial for €1. So no big financial commitment or anything like that. Instead, pay €1, test it out for 5 days. And if you decide within 5 days it's not for you, you can simply just cancel. But if you love it, and I guarantee that you will, you simply just pay the remaining balance and get lifetime access. So if you want to give it a go, if you want access to my personal calorie and macro calculator so you can calculate your nutritional requirements based on your goals, if you want access to my restaurant calorie guides, if you want access to the hundreds of recipes I have in there that I constantly update, I will leave the link to the Nutrition Hub in the comment section below. Okay, so the next thing that I want to talk about is The Weeknd, and honestly, Blinding Lights is the most overrated song in the world. No, of course, I'm only messing. I want to talk about the actual Weeknd, because let's be real, this is the downfall for most people, but I have 2 tips that have been absolute game changers for me. And tip number 1 is something that I've spoken about before, and it is giving yourself more calories on the weekend. So for example, if your calorie goal is 2,000 calories per day, something you could do instead of having 2,000 calories every single day is have 1,900 calories on 6 days of the week, and on the other day of the week, use those extra 600 calories that you have saved and have a 2,600 calorie day. That way you are still consuming the very same number of calories over the course of the week, and hence your fat loss is going to be the same. But seeing as you have this higher calorie day on the weekend, you can treat yourself to that little bit more. It could be something that is quite difficult to fit into lower calories, whether it's a few drinks, a takeaway, whatever. And tip number 2 is introducing more structure into your weekend, because that is one of the main reasons you do so well during the week. You get up, you have your breakfast, you go to work, you have your lunch break, you come home, you have your dinner, and so on and so on. But come the weekend, you have absolutely zero structure because you haven't given it a second thought, and as a result, your goals go out the window. So what I recommend doing is bringing over some of that weekday structure to the weekend. So for example, you could set your alarm at a reasonable time, get up, have the same or a similar breakfast to what you usually do during the week. Same goes for your lunch, and then for dinner, you can set aside some calories and treat yourself to something different. And that way there is a lot more control, there is a lot more structure, but you have that bit of flexibility that you need as well. Okay, so my next tip is going to be in relation to the weighing scales and the best way to use it in my opinion. But first, let me show you this recipe. It is arguably one of the tastiest things that I've ever made, and it is so simple. Okay, so here I have 200 grams of raw chicken breast strips in a bowl. I'm gonna spray with some low-calorie spray, season with some sea salt, some garlic, some smoked paprika, and some chili powder. I am going to mix that all together. Then I'm gonna add in 15 ml of this low-calorie barbecue sauce from Bulk. Give it another little mix so each chicken breast piece is coated. And I actually think it's really hard for companies to get low-calorie barbecue sauce right. I don't know why, but this one from Bulk is 100% the best one that I've tried. And the reason being, it's actually really simple. It's because it actually tastes like barbecue sauce, whereas most just tastes like shit, to be honest. So yeah, if you are on the fence about picking some up, I would personally recommend doing so. And if you are, make sure to go through the link in my description. It would mean a lot. Then I'm gonna add 30 grams of Special K into a separate bowl. And I'm using Special K because it's a pretty okay source of fiber for a breakfast cereal. Then using my fist, I'm going to crush it into little pieces. I'm gonna season with the very same seasoning. Just give it a bit of a mix with a spoon. Then I'm gonna coat each of my chicken breast strips with the Special K pieces. Okay, so this is how we are looking. And now I'm gonna spray my air fryer with some 1-calorie spray. Add each one in. I actually need to get a bigger air fryer. It'd be so handy if I could cook like 10 of these at a time. Comment below and let me know if you have a big one and if you would recommend it. And then I'm gonna cook them at 200 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes. And as they are cooking away, I'm gonna make a super simple maple glazed barbecue sauce, and I'm gonna add 40 ml of this low-cal barbecue sauce to a glass, followed by 20 ml of low-cal maple syrup, both from Bulk, and mixed them together. All right, so they are looking nice and crispy, and now I'm just going to pour the sauce over each one. And the great thing about these is that they are only 345 calories. So even if you had an extra 100 calories or 150 calories to spare, you could bulk that up into a big meal by adding some veg to the side, or even having it on top of a salad or whatever you like. Okay, so the final tip that I want to give is in relation to the weighing scales. And instead of getting invested in each and every weigh-in, I recommend using the average weight system instead. So you weigh yourself a set number of times per week. So for example, every Tuesday morning, every Thursday morning, and every Sunday morning, you add those weights up, you divide by 3 because that is the number of times that you weighed yourself, and that is your average weight for that week. Then to track your fat loss, you compare this week's average weight to next week's average weight, and so on and so on. And this is a much better system than comparing individual weigh-ins, because your scale weight is just not going to go down with every single weigh-in. It is influenced by way too many factors outside of actual fat loss to do so. So this way you can see what way your average weight is moving, and this is going to be a lot more accurate because it takes more weigh-ins into account. And then if there are no real changes in your average weight in the space of 2 to 3 weeks, you can be pretty confident that there is not a hell of a lot of fat loss occurring. All right, everyone, I'm going to wrap the video up there. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, make sure to give the video a big thumbs up. Would massively appreciate it. And remember to comment below and let me know if you have any tips that have massively helped you on your fat loss journey. Would be very interested in seeing what you have to say. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you are all keeping well, and I will see you in the next video.